I'm good. My camera keeps crashing, but I don't think it's going to crash this time. I think I'm all right. So, welcome everybody to another episode of the Don't Forget Your Roots podcast. We got a really fun one for you today. We have a couple special guests. We have Rusty and Rhonda Oliver from Oliver's Butcher Shop. And now, more recently, Hub City Market. They opened up a location in downtown Union City to serve as kind of like a storefront, as far as I understand. They talk about it and like what it is and stuff in the episode. I watched it. I was not there for this one. I had stuff going on that day, and it was the best time for everyone to get in there and record. So this is the most you'll see of me this week. But I'll catch you guys next week. But anyway. This episode is about them. It's about, it's like interview style, what are you doing? Where'd you come from? How'd you get where you're at? How you feel about it? That kind of fun stuff. And then, highlighting kind of what's going on in their downtown location. So it's a good one, promise. One thing about it, I don't know what's going on. So real quick. So we have two boards, right? Like two boards that we plug the mics into. The one board that we use when there's only me and Dad is fine. And then the other one, when we have more than two mics, we have to use another board. And that board, for some reason, I think isn't working right. And it makes the audio sound kind of like hollow and tingy, I think. And that's another thing that I'm going to work on. So yeah, it's fine. It just doesn't sound as like, right. I sound crispy right now. I sound crispy. It doesn't sound like that. So sorry. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. If you do, please subscribe. Please like the video. Share it with your friends, because when number go up on video, make brain happy. I want to keep doing this. Help me out. Make numbers go up. And comment. Say something. Say something nice or mean. I don't know. Just say anything, really.
Welcome to Don't Forget Your Roots podcast. We are so happy today to have Rusty and Rhonda Oliver with us. Many people in town, of course, know who they are. Some of you that listen that aren't from town, you're going to find out who they are, and I think you're going to be a lot wiser after this conversation about small business and regional food and being a family and a married couple together in a business. So I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get things started here on the right note. I thought I would just start by asking, who is Rhonda and Rusty Oliver? Who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
So I grew up on the Ohio side, went to Missinawall, graduated in 2006. Been a while now. So I grew up on the Ohio side, met Rhonda in my senior year of high school. Of course, she went to the Indiana side. So, and we just kind of took off from there.
Tell them a little bit about your history with the business, or like your
Okay.
growing up a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. So growing up, I kind of just had the work experience of working on dairy farms, and my family owned a butcher shop over in Dark County. So we just kind of got involved in it that way, and always knew I wanted to have my own shop. So, yeah. So
that was always something that you wanted, that you had planned on doing.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to save up, and I kind of did, saved up and kind of started small, buying stuff and storing it in the garage in the barn, and then it just kind of got to the point where we had enough to start construction. So
excellent. And you guys have kids?
We do. Yep. We have two kids, Elsie and Kipton, 5 and 7.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a fun age.
Yeah.
That range in there, because they're old enough to kind of be little humans, like they're not completely reliant on you, and they can actually start forming. When they're little, they do form their own opinions and they have their own perspective on what they're seeing, but they just have a hard time relating what they're interpreting. That they have ideas, but they don't have the language necessarily at that point to be portraying it. And as they get to be in that like 6-year-old and older, like they start to have a bigger vocabulary. They can, which is a little, it's fun because in my mind, in my opinion, it's fun because you get to see them, you know, you feel like they're growing up and everything, you can interact with them more, but also it's at that age when they get more manipulative because now they go from screaming or crying to reasoning. And so then they're making deals and lying, or probably not your kids, my kids.
No, they
You know, like
there's little fibs in there sometimes for sure.
Yeah, it's just but it's a fun. Are you guys like excited with that size family, or is that something you have you always wanted kids like that, or is it just
yeah? So we got a girl and a boy, and
you're feeling good about it?
Yep, we're pretty good about that. So
We
Love
are
that.
finished.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love that.
Yep.
Love that. Okay, and then I write some things down just to give me an idea because if I don't, I'll forget. So like growing up, was food a central part of you guys' lives, or was it just like practical, like just, you know, oh, feed the kids or we gotta eat, or was it something that was kind of celebrated and, you know, explored and that kind of thing?
So my grandpa growing up, he used to work for Beaky's in Greenville. And then I think when they closed up, then he went to work for Suitors in Greenville. They had the slaughter plant and then the meat market uptown. And I always remember going in there as a kid with him, you know, behind the counter and in the back and stuff.
Suitors, they were down at, was it Plum Street or by the Greenville Creek?
I think it's
they
on
had a slaughterhouse.
Morrow
Street.
Morrow
Street.
So,
that's right.
So I actually have an uncle that owns that now too.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So I actually have family that has 2 other butcher shops in Darke County. I had some cousins that did have the meat shop.
Oh,
on
yeah.
Broadway. Yep, they retired since then, but so we've got some equipment off them too. But yeah, so it's kind of just been my family's either butchered or milked cows and farmed. So
yeah,
it's just kind of what I grew up around. So yeah.
And you also raised your own cattle too.
Yeah.
He was into big shown cattle.
Yeah.
nice.
So I know like that was one thing from my family. We always raised our own hogs and cattle. So going to the grocery store was interesting to me. I'll never forget when we were first married. I ran out of ground beef, so I went and got some at Walmart, and I cooked it, and I told Rusty, "What is this?"
Yeah.
I
said, "We need to go down to Jerry's."
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I mean, I agree 100%. Yeah, that's so interesting, isn't it? And so then, did you guys have like a favorite food growing up, or something that maybe grandma made, or what's something that you just were like, oh, this is my very favorite food in the world?
Mine was probably steaks.
Okay.
Yep. So
You grew up with expensive taste.
Yes.
But when you live on a farm and you're doing it yourself, it does not feel like that at all, does it?
It was
That's just
normal.
what you eat.
Yeah.
And that's funny. I mean, I don't know about me growing up. Mom, we always, had that kind of stuff too. But it's interesting with our kids because like we eat steak a lot.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, oh, steak again? Like,
yeah, we've had.
I'm like,
things.
give me 10 years and then say that.
Yeah, we have definitely had the exact same
Have you?
conversations. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Yeah, it's funny though because you do when that's the world that you're living in, and do you feel, this is gonna sound weird, and anything you don't want to answer, you just say, yeah, I don't want to answer that or change something, But I mean, because I'm not here to put you on the spot or anything, but do you feel sorry for the way that everybody doesn't eat that way, or just wonder why or anything like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I see where you're going from. I mean,
I think it's a lot of how you was raised, in my opinion, in different regions and stuff like that. Because we have some friends out west, and they don't have a whole lot of pork out there where they're at, so they just don't eat a whole lot of pork. So there's just not that much out there. So I think it's just kind of all how you was brought up, or raised in the food community.
Yeah, your context, and and if you're not raised in the food community at all, then
you just don't know.
Kraft mac and cheese is your.
You just don't know any different.
Yeah. No.
So.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying though. Like
you even not feel sorry for it, just that you wish that it
wish
could
they
be different.
could see like
yes,
there is better quality.
Yes.
Like with us bringing the meat market uptown, I remember a comment saying, have cheap prices. And I want to be like, well, I understand that, but that's not what we're all about.
Quality, yeah.
We're looking to bring better quality to our community.
Yes. And I
And-
don't
and-
know. Go ahead.
I would say healthier food too,
Absolutely.
because it's, we've raised it. We know what it is. It's
Mhm.
it's local.
Mhm.
That's what we're striving for.
Yes.
So is-
Yeah, and that's kind of where my mind is as well. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously that's where we've always been.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's amazing, and you guys can comment on this, because I talk to people, and you mentioned people out west, and I'll talk to people out in like the Pacific Northwest, and like pasture raising livestock and things like that.
Mhm.
Like even something as simple as chickens.
Yeah.
They'll raise chickens, but then they will literally have to drive those like 8 hours, 12, sometimes like 16 hours away to get it processed at a
Mhm.
USDA facility. And by then that really changes your numbers.
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
Like,
That is a
tremendously, yeah.
big difference.
and around here, we are so fortunate that just in our region, within half hour to 45 minutes, there's just so many options.
Yeah.
The roots of infrastructure are here
Yes.
to be able to build on, and I
Mhm.
think about different places in the world, or even in the country, and like, okay, if we want to nudge food in a more direction like what we've just described
Mhm.
for other people, for everybody, and then eventually get to the cheaper prices,
Yeah.
because it's about scale, and it's not just the quality. It's that in order to grow the quality, the whole system is set up to not be that, and to actually punish people that do that, because that's not the system that the people that run it are in. They're in the cheap food.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's the only way they make money. And
Yeah.
so, eventually though, I think it could get nudged in the right direction if the critical points of infrastructure are there. For instance, a USDA inspected poultry facility, like
Mhm.
King's,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
to
USDA
to be
inspected
honest,
facility like you guys
Yeah.
are, or going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, or,
So-
so
going back to that a little bit, when we started in 2016, we just started just a custom exempt plant, which means customer brings me a hog or cow or sheep or goat, and we process it for them, and it says not for sale on it. It's
Yeah.
just for their family or
We have some
their
of those.
customers.
Yeah.
So then we went from that to, what was it, 2020?
2020, we got our state inspection
Yep, we went state inspected to where you could bring us something and resell it to
in the state of Indiana.
Yep, within the
Yeah.
state of Indiana. And then just recently, right before Christmas,
Yeah, November.
we become a CIS inspected processing plant. So we can take product, make product, and actually go across state lines with it and sell. So
yeah,
So like
Yeah.
before, we couldn't take our product that we made and go to a restaurant
yes,
like on the Ohio side.
yeah.
yes.
So that was one thing.
So
that
now
we-
we're
being right
able
on
to
the
do
border.
so.
That was
And that is something that I was always told, even by people within, the lower levels of like ODA, that
Yeah.
around the border, they don't, they might tell you if you would get caught doing something, like, you realize that
Yeah.
this is a state line, and that means
Mhm.
that it's, that it's not like you're shipping it to California or something.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so you might get some leeway, but in my mind, it's like, well, but that's not quite exactly how you want to do
Yeah,
business.
you don't want to get on the bad side.
No,
of
and then you're
it.
always
right.
looking over your shoulder. It's not like, why would you want to be that way?
But, so now we can do that. So legally, and
That's very exciting.
that's something we're looking forward to this year, is being able to get into some more restaurants and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
pretty excited about that.
and we did product for Darby and his.
yeah.
Yeah,
We do.
for
I
you.
mean,
Yeah.
So we, that's one of the things that we're in kind of a strange situation. And before I get into that part, I'm going to ask you guys, how do you keep focused? Because when you're in a business like you were in, you could go a million different directions.
Yes.
How do you decide to prioritize? this,
Rusty
that, or
keeps
the
me
other?
in line.
Oh, are you the one that's going to chase the
No.
next shiny object?
I'm the
No.
I'm the one out there.
She's the one that straightens me out. Because I guess I'm like everyone else. I got a million different dreams and ideas, and she keeps me on my toes of what we can do and what we can't do.
Let's
so,
do this one,
yeah.
on that. But yeah, there's
So yeah,
we're a good balance for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes. Yeah. And so what made you decide to, is it just your history within it and your knowledge of it, that it's kind of the path of least resistance, or is it just something that because you grew up in it, you're just so passionate about it that that's kind of been an easy guide rails for you?
Yeah, I think it's just growing up in it, being passionate for it. It just seems natural for me to be a butcher and
Yeah.
Well, and you've done that. I mean, yeah, you did the dairy. He did Jerry's, helped his uncle out for years. And then I mean, he even worked at Kroger's in high school too.
Yeah.
So he had like
Wow.
3 different jobs. So
all in the similar industry.
So,
like that's I mean, I know this is kind of getting off subject a little bit, but that
we have no subject here.
That was one thing about me and him talk about a lot. It was the kids not working these days, because like I had to go meet him at his house, if I wanted to see him.
Yes.
In between his dairy and Kroger job, it was just like he worked 3 jobs in high school. And I mean, I was kind of on the same boat in the summer more, I did mowed grasses. I worked at Cheryl's restaurant. So yeah, I've kind of, I did other things too. But anyways, that's besides the point.
Yeah, we are a stream of consciousness. Like that's part of what we do, is just kind of take an idea and run with it. And it ends up working out pretty well for us, I think. But no, I think that you hit on something, because that's also part of the necessary infrastructure. So, on the one hand, you have the processing capacity, but then also you have to have labor. And
absolutely.
That's another aspect that is incredibly expensive, because I don't know that most people realize. I mean, and in fact, I know most people don't realize. And that's the kind of things that we like to try to shed light on, because it strikes right at the heart of why we're even in business. There's a book called Tomato Land, and it's about the tomato industry, and primarily the processed food tomato industry, and we have a lot of that around here. And so this is not to denigrate that or to talk down about it. It's just the reality of the situation, that in that book, that they pointed out that in Florida, there's a lot of the industry is in Florida, and the tomatoes are grown in Florida by migrant worker. And they said, that the way that those are set up, one of the district attorneys down there said that if you've eaten tomato sauce in the U.S., you have eaten the fruit of slave labor. There's no question, even today. Like, just nobody knows it. And then you think, okay, I've read other books about the meat industry and such, and the bigger companies like Tyson and all of those bigger meat companies, they proactively put flyers and stuff up in the poorest parts of Mexico. Like, opportunity. If you can get here, we can get you a visa, and we have group housing and all that. You can live cheap and send money home, and you can work in our meat processing plant. Well, we're here trying to, you can't have high school kids running meat saws. So we're here having to hire actual people that we don't have that. I mean, and they are deliberately reaching out and leaving it up in the air how those people are actually going to get here. It's just, if you do
get here,
we have ways to hire you. And so that's another reality of, cheap food. So I want my food cheap, but really in reality, if you turn that around and said, so you want a tomato that's picked by a slave? Why do you get the cheap food? Why should you get cheap food and somebody else is paying for it?
Exactly.
And the way I
food
look
costs
at it too, it's we got a lot of our family, our close friends. Some aren't family and weren't friends before they started working
Just
for us.
one, just one at this point.
But I want to see everybody succeed too. Everybody around me, So therefore, we have to pay them, and I want to pay them good to be there and make a living for their family, because they're helping provide for my family too, So,
Yes.
And we want a good environment for them. And,
Yeah.
we feel like we try to make it fun. So,
Oh
Okay.
yeah. I mean, anytime
Yeah.
I've been in there and seen it, like they
Yeah.
look like they're
So,
enjoying
yeah,
themselves, and yeah, I mean, you have a great facility. It looks
So-
clean and nice, and yeah, no,
Yeah.
so that's just one of those things that it just the price of food. There is a price. So what people are used to paying for food, I don't think it's a disservice to them because they
Yeah.
haven't been properly educated as to the
Yeah.
actual price of food.
Yeah. And
like
yeah.
Mhm.
somebody else is paying along that value chain
Yeah.
for you to get that cheap
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
It's not costing any cheaper. It's that you're not the one paying it. Somebody is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of manual labor that goes into producing food, taking it from
mhm.
a
Oh,
walking,
absolutely.
breathing animal till you package it. There's a lot of labor in it, and
Physical. Did you say physical?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, a lot of physical
that's-
labor in it,
yeah.
and that's something that I want people to know too. Is if somebody wants to learn the process or how it comes or where it comes from, we're more than welcome to open our doors up and show you what we do.
Yeah.
And show you how hard we work on it, So that's something I want people to know too. Is
Mhm.
we're not afraid to bring you back and throw an apron on you and show you what we do, what we go
Yeah,
through.
yeah. Well, and I think that that's an important part of it, right? Because, and that's what we kind of do with this podcast is we decided people are going to talk about you no matter what. If you do
Yeah.
anything at all, somebody's going to have something to say about it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so,
You're going to have the good and the bad
exactly.
every time
Yeah.
any business you're in.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so it's like, well, I would rather at least. So there's good and bad and embarrassment in about anything that you do. I'm not afraid to share the embarrassing things. I mean, I
Yeah.
can tell you, like, yeah, we were in over our head in Winchester and we had to close it.
Yeah.
By all outward appearances, it looked very successful right up until the very day that we closed, because it wasn't affecting the customers and stuff. It was behind the scenes
Yeah.
things, like the numbers and stuff just weren't working.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't sustain that for forever.
And
And so but I just get right on this podcast and tell people those
Right.
things.
I
I'll
mean,
tell them the numbers
yeah.
and be like, this is why it didn't work.
no one that's
Exactly.
successful is doing it without a little bit of failure.
Yes.
And that's the truth. It's
Mhm.
we kind of went through a spot where we was going like crazy a couple years ago, and
We
you know,
realized almost more.
more or
Le-
less
less-
is more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So it got to the point where we were not getting along with each other,
Mhm.
our employees and stuff together, and it was getting hard on us, and it was kind of that point where it was, hey, we need to make a change, and we did, and it worked out good for us. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's sometimes you can get in over your head and
Yeah.
like that, and it's very easy to do, especially with
Mhm.
the price of stuff today. It's so
Yeah.
and
And that was one of the things, like for us, that we had. It was a kind of a dangerous thing. Was we gave ourselves a very quick and painful education, but we had just enough resources to do it on a big enough scale that it actually hurts.
yeah,
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we,
Mhm.
that's why sometimes I look at places that are opening and I'm like, I hope they fail fast.
Mhm.
Like,
yeah,
I hope they fail before they put their entire
Mhm.
midlife life savings into something and realize, and they're getting along just well enough that it seems like it could work, and then it just drains them and bleeds them dry. Like, I hope that they just
Actually.
fail miserably right off the
Yeah.
bat.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, get it over with.
Or
You
succeed
learn,
right
learn,
away.
yeah. That way you can learn from it.
yeah, because
Come back better.
that's kind of how we, have been. And, it's like just one of those things, like, once again, when you can do anything and you're passionate about real food, or then, we had people pulling us in that direction, and it fits us well, like the hospitality side.
Yeah.
Of it.
Mhm.
And that the eating side of it is kind of where we always were. That's why we moved in that direction. Our customers, would eat our pork chops or our steak or the adult burgers or whatever, and they would say, man, we just love your food, but we don't cook.
Yeah.
If you would just make this for us,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's kind of why we got
Ready
into
to
what we
eat.
got
I
into.
Yeah, ready
And
to eat.
Everybody wants that.
It's
Ready
like-
to eat.
yeah,
Convenience.
yes, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. I mean,
Mhm.
and so in my mind, I was like, that fits us well. I mean, we are hospitable people. I used to throw massive parties. I mean, for my 40th birthday, I made like 70 ribeye steaks for like all of our guests, and I spent the whole day grilling and for my own birthday party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I was
Yeah.
on cloud nine. People were coming to talk to me while I was grilling and saying happy birthday and all that. And so that was just a fun day for me. I loved it to see everybody happy. And so that's just always been who we are. So it just fit us. We went down the possibility or thought about going into more of the processing side of it.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's just one of those things where, because then we would have the whole vertical integration from the animal
Mhm.
through the processing,
Mhm.
through the hospitality.
Farm
So
to
you would
ta-
truly
farm to
be
table,
farm to fork, the whole
Yep.
process.
Mhm.
But I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like Greg Gunthorpe up in by Fort Wayne. He's like a pastured. He's like one of the grandfathers of the pastured.
I think I have.
Pastured pork and all that. But they are the. I think they're maybe the only one, or maybe one of two that are USDA inspected for both cows and pigs and chickens. So they can do both in the same facility, which is a rare
big thing.
Yeah,
And-
that's hard to do. Yeah.
It is.
And I asked him about
That's a
it.
lot.
I told our plans and stuff, and he's like, "Don't do it." He's like, "Don't. You can't do both. Like,
Yeah.
you won't be able to sustain both. It's a very hard
Yeah.
thing to do. It's just too much to manage
Yeah.
Mhm.
at the scale that we were
Mhm.
at.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, it's better than to partner with others that are in there,
Mhm.
and that's better for my vision anyway, which is expanding and supporting and nudging the whole food system from a regional perspective. Well,
Yeah.
who am I? Why is my views on that the only legitimate views?
Yeah.
So I would rather see the views of others and build a collaboration than to own it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm against the ones that own it all. So why would I want to be the mini version of that? Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I just don't think it goes in a good place. Like, I don't trust myself with that kind of
Yeah.
influence.
It's a lot too. Yeah. Yep.
And so you guys I noticed just have stuck you have a very clear product and path and what you're doing. And I just think it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I mean, I heard little rumors, but that's always, that you guys had been wanting to be in town for quite a long time. And even somebody a while back, more of an influential person was like, have you ever talked to them about seeing them maybe doing something together or whatever? I was like, they seem very established in what they're doing and where they're going. I don't think they need anything from us, but you guys are putting in a store, and I think that is awesome.
Yeah.
What could you guys go into that? So here's your time. Cha-ching, plug the daylights out of that, because I think it's awesome, because once again, it's just moving the whole food system forward.
A little closer to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
You want to go ahead? Go ahead.
We just feel like everybody was like, we just want you to be in town. Oh, we forget about you. You're 7 miles out of town. We always forget about you guys. So I think that was the main thing. So
And
just kind of moving uptown.
yeah,
I don't know what
and
else I
we
would
we have
think of.
had this in the process for probably a couple of years.
Just didn't know where the right fit was going to be.
Yeah, I think we've looked at about every building in Union City.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about building brand new. That's something that we didn't want to go in that much depth.
It's hard
build
having
it.
your business at your house. It's nice, yes, on some things.
yeah.
Kids are in bed. I can go out and do a couple of things. That aspect's nice. It's hard having people come in your driveway all day long,
Yeah.
hours, or random Saturdays. My pulls in. Oh, I just want to see what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Saturday at 5 o'clock at night, and we're out having a bonfire. That's tough.
Yeah.
So
We've gotten pretty used to it though.
we have.
Over the last 7 years.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just like, oh, who's here? Oh, it's a customer. Okay.
yeah.
Can I pick up my meat? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So we finally found a building and went in and fixed it up here or part of a building.
We're leasing. Yeah, we're doing some leasing. So kind of see how get our feet wet, kind of, like what you talked about earlier.
And yeah, it's actually going to be called Hub City Market.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to open up Thursday afternoon. So
Yeah.
Cha-ching.
yeah, there we go. So
Hub City Market Thursday afternoon. And what will it just be an expanded version of what you have out there, or you have some surprises that you don't have to, which this won't air until Friday at the earliest.
Okay.
No,
So, but no, you don't have to share it all yet.
you want
But
to go ahead?
We're going to do more of a fresh meat case to see how that goes. We're going to start off and kind of see. It might have to be like a later in the week. We're just going to test it
Yeah,
and see
yeah.
how it goes for the most part
Have a
on that.
Soft opening. I
Yeah,
guess you would
Yeah.
call it.
So we're hoping to get like some other products in that aren't in town.
that's a good idea.
So
Yes.
like having some different, like maybe even like focus on some gluten-free diet,
Yes.
certain things like that
Yes.
is what we want to work towards. Something that I know I can't get that in town. That's
Yes.
and that's what
Yeah.
people want to stay in town. So that's why we're doing this.
Yes.
So we're gonna have all of our original frozen meats along with fresh meats in there.
Hmm.
That's exciting.
A little bit of cheese from Tri-State Cheese.
Nice.
They're coming down. Can put some cheese in.
We are trying
and
to work with other businesses as well.
Local honey.
We're doing some local honey.
Have you guys reached out to Kings at all about maybe doing some chicken there? or
We did talk about that, but we have not.
We did,
yet.
but we have not reached out.
We
to
have
Yeah.
discussed that with them.
Yeah.
We do a lot of business with them.
Mm-hmm.
And we've discussed it for here, but that's not really what we're doing. But so
Ruben and
you
them.
should, yeah, maybe you should.
I need to
mean,
get in
I
contact
would
with them.
definitely, because a lot of times, because even this will be a plug for Kings Cha-ching. They
Great people, by the way.
oh
Yes.
yes,
Great
just
people.
Yes.
so nice.
Mhm.
And no, just like he said, a lot of times, they'll do even the places that do their own chicken. We'll just get a couple of the things that are really big for them, like some of the chicken sausages that they
Yeah.
do are very
Mhm.
popular, and like the chicken brats and things like that in the
Yeah.
summer. And he said, a lot of times even the farmers that have their own little small shop and they do their own birds and we process their birds, they'll supplement their stock with
with it. Yeah.
with
Mhm.
just certain products. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
so they're just so flexible in working with what you need. Like we've fluctuated so much through the years with them where we've just done large quantities and then dropped down to really low, and they never complain, never say anything, just are always accommodating.
Yeah. I think like a lot of the butcher shops around here, meat markets and stuff like that, if you just go in and ask them, everybody help you out.
Yeah.
Like, it's a
Yeah.
community. It's just like a
Yes.
community of farmers. Like it's just
We've learned
everybody
that.
sticks together. If you
Yes.
need something, you just go in and ask, or don't be afraid to ask, because
Yeah.
probably the thing that everybody will tell you is, we'll help you out if you need something, and that's great about it too, being in a small town.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
We do like that, and I feel like we didn't really learn that until we were really on the Indiana Meat Packers Association.
Mm,
So Rusty's actually on the board of our Indiana association. We do partner a lot with Illinois as well, but it just once we got into that association, it was just very nice. Like to be like,
realize
hey,
there's a whole world out there.
yeah.
there's
And
other,
like,
there's
hey,
other people just like
Yeah.
we started, and this is when we started out. These people are really good to go to, and it was nice to kind of have that backing. Know that there's others out there to help you, even though they're in the same industry as we were.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing about it, is that it seems to me that a lot of the larger industry is quite competitive. Well, Jason and I, my son Jason and I, that we've discussed this numerous times, and we used to raise quite a lot of hogs for Tyson, and so and then we kind of transitioned out of that into our own stuff, but there's like a few companies that own all the pigs, and all the chickens, and like, so then there's the smaller, and that's kind of when we interviewed Jim Beakey. He was what a great guy, just an encyclopedic memory, and just one of the sharpest guys you would ever talk to. And you tell him your name once and he's going to remember it forever. Like, but he was talking about how, the bigger companies would do things, and particularly at the policy level, that would deliberately make it difficult for smaller people. But then he said, but there's that typically always leaves a niche. They can't do it all. They can't do everything. And so as they're growing bigger and everything, then they're leaving people behind. And so it's your job as a small business owner to figure out where that's at. And, in my mind, I'm thinking, but the route that you took was to go into policy because you didn't like what was happening and figured something has to happen at a higher level, you know.
Yeah.
But just on the daily business side of it, you can't compete with those.
No, you can't.
And so you got to figure out
it
as a
does.
smaller one, where is
How-
there? And
how
you
to
guys
make it
don't seem
work.
to have any problem with that, because if I call you today and say, hey, I need to bring in a pig, you're going to say, well, the waiting list is out till February, March of next year. Like,
Yeah.
you guys
So-
stay booked, right? And so do
so,
most,
yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah. I think for most part, everybody stays booked. We, this is our slow time of year, and it is every year, January, February, which,
I feel like it has been last 6 months.
yeah,
With
It-
the
it slowed
with the beef
down.
market
Yeah.
being high.
yeah.
I'm not really
Yes.
sure about
The
the
markets are high. I mean,
Yeah.
you can take your
Mhm.
cattle to market and get just as much, if not a little bit more out of them as you can butchering them. So
yeah,
so I understand that side of it, but
yeah,
I don't know. I kind of call it the COVID swing. Like we're on the
Mhm.
backside of the COVID swing right now.
Mhm.
Leading up to COVID and
Mhm.
during COVID, everybody was swamped, and
Mhm.
now I think it's just everything's catching up, and it's just hold on till it levels back out. type
Yeah.
deal.
And,
And it's-
Rusty told me that when he's like, it's been good for so long. He said it's
Like,
going to swing the
yeah.
other
Yeah.
way. I
Yeah.
remember him saying
things work in
that.
cycles for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, which it's kind of been welcomed a little bit too, because it's
Mhm.
given us time to work on the shop uptown.
Mhm.
It's given our guys a break, so we're not working them to death, and
Yeah.
ourselves too.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of been all right. We know that it's going to, as soon as spring gets here, it's going to take back
Sure.
off.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and a lot of times it's going to be the natural ebb and flow of local meat, because things you deliberately don't want to finish things in winter. It's just,
Yeah.
it costs
Mhm.
a lot more to finish something in the winter.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
everybody gets in toward late fall and then they're done. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
farmers don't want to be out trying to finish cattle in the winter, you know,
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
or even raise pigs in the winter like that. So a lot of the smaller ones, they get rid of their stock, or they're starting and now they've got babies and they're just out there, you know, in a
Yep.
heated barn taking care of them, you know, a litter or
Little-
something.
Little ones.
So I can
Yeah.
see, is that
Yeah.
do you think I'm on the right?
Yeah.
track
No, I
thinking that?
definitely
Yeah, for
think
sure.
you are. Basically, our really busy time is from June till about November, December-ish.
Okay.
So in June,
Mhm.
everybody's preparing for fair, getting rid of everything that they
Vacationing.
vacationing, not getting everything off the feed, getting ready for fair and
Yeah.
plant or harvest and stuff like that. So from about June till I don't know September, we do a lot of 4-H stuff,
Yeah.
a
Yes.
lot. So and then we get out of the 4-H stuff and then go right into deer season.
I was going to ask,
So,
that was
yeah.
my next question was, you guys
So-
do, I didn't know how much of it, what
We
percentage
have
of
slowed
that business
down.
Yeah,
is-
we have slowed down
Mhm.
last couple of years significantly, just because our custom butchering has been so high, so much of a
Yeah.
demand.
Yeah.
So we kind of do the deer as we have room for them
Mhm.
to do them. But yeah, we've still been able to do a few. So
I see. Yeah. Is that something that you'll want to try to make a market for, or no? Like buy deer from people or anything, or?
we had talked about doing some exotics up there. It's just for us to buy them in and resell.
Yeah.
It is. I hate to do that to people.
Yeah.
And
It's very high.
it's very expensive. Just like
And I don't know
It's
if
like
our
having the-
area is the place to do that.
Yeah.
not yet. So
And it's one thing with some frozen, you'll see places do that a lot with like sockeye salmon, and they'll have the little frozen fillets.
yeah,
Mhm.
And there's companies out west that probably like two actually that grow at a certain, or do it a certain way and have certain labeling and things that would coordinate with the way people do a lot of the clean food and things
Yeah.
like that. So you always see those
yeah,
alongside, but it's always so off the charts expensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I just don't know that there's a big enough market in the area for that, whether
Yeah.
you wish there was or not.
yeah. If we was a little closer to Indianapolis or Muncie or
Yeah.
so where the population is, I think it would go. But for around here, it's I don't know. It'd be
Yeah.
tough. It'd be tough.
Yeah.
So
Because we did certain things like that when we were, more just when we were just doing our direct to consumer stuff and through Tree Hill Farms and the online website and all that. And we had the pickup locations and delivery and all that. And we were, our service area was 100 miles. And so we would do restaurants and then pickup locations where we would just drop off to one spot, and then people in that area would come and pick up.
Mhm.
And even that is very difficult, because you have to build a certain size of infrastructure to support
Support it,
that.
yeah.
And there's 10 million people that live within 2 hours of us.
Yeah.
It's insane. People don't realize.
Yeah.
But this is,
Yeah.
if you just draw a circle around, 100 miles
Mhm.
or 125 miles from Union City, and then it's like a wheel with spokes, and then they got Columbus and Indianapolis,
Mhm.
and Toledo, Cincinnati, Louisville is
Mhm.
not much farther. I mean,
Yeah.
it just,
Yeah.
and so there's 10 million people. So, but that's a lot of people, but it's still, you're pushing out to get to
Spread out,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's going to increase everything. And
Yeah.
so it's just always about location,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
Yeah.
dang, if we were just a little closer
Yeah.
to somewhere else.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing
Is that-
good I think that the city is doing is trying to fix up the town and trying to make it a better place to draw more people in. I think that's great.
Yeah.
We've had whatever help we've needed.
We've had a lot of meetings, and I don't think people realize what the mayor and what Steve Shoemaker really does to try to help businesses come to town.
Yeah.
I mean, we've met with them probably 5 times, and they just, on their time, to try to figure out the right fit for us. And,
I think I could call them and ask them for a bucket of paint, and they'd
Yeah.
say what color you need.
No
If
doubt.
they go get,
There is no question.
like there's
like, and I just know, I feel like there has been a lot of, people talk down about them, but I'm like, if they really truly knew how much they put
mhm.
into this community, it
Try to make
wouldn't
it
be
better.
an issue.
Yes.
So,
Well, and sometimes, and that's kind of where we are. Like they are not also the kind that are going to usually advertise that or whatever,
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
so yeah, we just kind of, well, 2 episodes ago, I was just like, we've been the topic of several different things, and we always let it go over and always let it go by, and eventually Amanda, my wife, and I and Jason were just like, we have to eventually say something. I can't keep letting all of these things go,
Yeah.
and let people make up things, and
Yeah.
then tell their friends, and then they're thinking things, and it's like, and none of it's even real, like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and it, some of it though is the fact that I just think that they need to be more proactive in sharing the good things that are
Yeah.
happening, like there are,
For sure.
and why they're doing them, and
Mhm.
but there is a de-urbanization that's happening, and it's pretty significant, believe it or not. People moving out of the city and even out of the suburbs to the more rural towns
Yeah.
at a
Mhm.
pretty,
Yeah.
I mean, I say significant, but
Yeah.
nationwide, that's a big thing, but not every place is getting that. But
Yeah.
like it's
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
noticeable. Everybody's
Yeah.
noticing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
People noticed 50 years ago when everybody's moving toward the city, and now it's
Yeah.
big enough. There's enough people moving out that it's starting to be a trend.
Yeah.
And I think Union City is, if you once again,
Yeah.
10 million people within
That's-
100 miles of here,
Mhm.
and so that's
It's kind of
potentially
exciting.
a lot of people that could come right here to the middle.
Yeah. It's kind of exciting to see what this town's going to be like in 5 years.
I think so.
Mhm.
I think it is.
I
It
believe it.
really is. They're getting the town fixed up. There's places to eat, things to do now. And coming. So,
Yeah.
I think it's only going to get better.
Well, you have
So-
to believe that because you're investing here.
Mhm.
It's like
Yes,
it's like
true.
I said, Jason and I have talked in a previous podcast that people that are here love the town, or they wouldn't be investing here. They could,
Yeah.
if they can invest here, they can invest somewhere else. They're
Yeah.
choosing not to.
Yeah.
So, in my mind, I'm like, well, support everyone that is, because that's what makes a town.
Yeah.
Without
Mhm.
folks like yourself, this is a row of houses.
And
Mhm.
yeah.
Like what
Mhm.
there is no culture, there is no life, there's no community. It's just a row of houses. Well, you see row of houses all around out in the country, and
Yeah.
that isn't a town. That's not
Yeah.
that's not, you're not getting any of the benefits of living in a community and the things that you can get from that. And so if you don't support it, then
Yeah.
you're going to have
Yeah.
pretty much McDonald's, and not to talk down about that because it serves its purpose, but
Mhm.
we already have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we have a Save-A-Lot, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But what we don't have is a place where you can get fresh meat
Right.
or even good frozen meat.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
And
So
so
You're
I feel
absolutely
like we're thrilled that you guys are going to be here.
Yeah.
You'll have a customer in us.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's no question.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that because we've more and more gotten we're refocusing some things, and so yeah, our side of meat production is way down, and so from what it was, I mean, we used to have 40 sows.
Yeah.
We were going through a lot of pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And moving a lot of pigs, and we had the chickens and eggs and all those things, and and cows. But cows, now I'd like to get your take on this, but we on the pork, because we do heritage breeds, and I just brought you. Did you guys eat your pork chops? Did you take any out? The last time I told you guys to do that, you didn't.
I don't think we did.
I think we did. I think I did tell him. I think we did.
Yes,
So
somebody at the shop reminded me and
Yes.
told me to try them, and
I was like, yeah,
We're
tell
so-
Rusty.
we're
and
so
then
busy we forgot all about
Yeah.
It,
But yeah,
it has been a whirlwind.
But yeah, we got this Mangalitsa breed that's a Hungarian lard
Mhm.
breed, and that's the one that you guys
Yeah.
just saw. And you saw
Yeah.
it. We were
I
out
did,
there.
yeah.
We talked
I
about
remember.
it.
Yeah, I saw you out there.
I was like, is there any marketability to this thing? Because
Yeah.
it's just so not normal.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
flavor wise, you will literally get lightheaded. You throw that thing on a grill and eat it, and it's just the marbling in there and everything. It's like eating a really good ribeye at a steakhouse or something. You get that piece that's just got a little bit of fat on the edge, and it's just like melts in your mouth, and that's how that is.
Mhm.
And then we have the red wattle that's more like a beefy flavor, and so
Yeah.
when you cross those two, it's like a beefy
Pretty
flavor
good.
with good marbling.
yeah,
Cows, we can't do that with. Like pork, we can do that.
yeah,
Mhm.
I have noticed that we can grow them clean,
yeah,
which is what a lot of places maybe they don't, especially like on feedlots. But
Yeah.
if you're not comparing us to a feedlot and you're just comparing us to somebody else that's just raising cows local,
Yeah.
there's nothing about that I can do better than them.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of, we just let it get, we just kind of let the cow side go. And like,
Yeah.
and in fact, we used to do like all the steaks and all that. And I'm like, man, it is such a skill to finish those on forage, on grass,
yes,
and not corn, to get the marbling, to get
Yeah.
to get something that doesn't taste like deer or whatever,
Yeah. tough, yeah,
And so
yeah,
we were like, well, you know what? I'm just going to start grinding. And we just would start grinding all of our cow into burgers. I think you might have done
Yeah.
that for us.
Yeah,
a
I think
couple
so, yeah.
maybe and we just didn't, we just stopped messing with them.
Yeah.
Just feed them out as much until we run out of hay, and then get them just ground completely into burger. So then what you're getting is, at least you're getting a burger that's like got all the steak and everything in it. So you
Yeah.
get a really high quality burger, or from us, a really low quality steak.
yeah, yeah.
I know which way
I
I'm
like the
gonna go.
burgers, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
But do you think that? Do you, just in your experience with meat, like, why? It's just interesting that there is, like, between a heritage pork and industrial, like the more modern grown pork, it's like two different animals. But with cows, I don't really see that. Do you?
Mm.
And you don't have to agree with that.
uh,
You're looking at it from the processor side.
yeah. So I don't know. I would much rather process like a grain finished beef, or like a hog like you bring me that's got some fat on it, than a grass raised beef or a hog barn hog.
Yeah.
Because they're I don't know, they're different.
They are
They're
very
leaner.
different.
They're just different cut.
That's
and they're going to taste
amazing.
different too. So
And that's amazing, because when you think about it, like the one, they're flipped, right?
yeah,
Like you're
Mhm.
saying a hog barn
Mhm.
hog,
yeah,
or the grass fed beef.
beef, yeah,
But
Yeah.
according to like people's ideas about eating healthy or whatever, they would
Mhm.
say, well, you want the
the grass fed.
and
yeah.
and the non-hog. So, but
Yeah.
yet, I think
From a
it's
processor standpoint.
well, and I
that-
think even from an eating quality standpoint, right? It's
Yeah.
funny that you're looking at that from the processor's perspective, and I'm saying from a hospitality perspective, I can put that on a plate, and I
Yeah.
can tell you which one the person's going to want to eat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
and that's
and for us, that's everything, is the eating experience. So if I
Yeah.
can't give you it does no good for me to try to give you a grass-fed cow that you don't like.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you just eat salad then, or whatever? Like, what?
yeah,
There's no virtue in my mind in that,
Yeah.
because we're competing with Doritos and Twinkies.
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah,
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
And so
yes.
if you're not going to give them something that actually tastes good,
yeah,
then
yeah,
so like they're like, I don't like that. It
Yeah.
tastes like iron. It's too lean. It just, it's too tough. It smells weird, whatever.
Yeah.
If we're going to win in the battle to help people see the value in real food, it's got to be real food that tastes good.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, I
Yes.
agree. Yes.
I agree.
And it's
yep.
funny that you can see that
Mhm.
in the processing. Like
Yeah. And-
that's raw meat and coming from a raw animal, and
Mhm.
yet you can get a feel this probably ain't gonna be that good.
Yeah. And and there's been some that's been like that, and it's just the different, cutability of it. You can tell from the beginning process of it. You can almost tell if one's going to be tough or not, or if you're going to get phone calls on it because they think that you've done something wrong or
Mhm.
swapped it out or
Yeah.
and that's it's not the business we're in. It's we're in the business of
Which-
taking care of our customers. So
Yeah.
so
How important is that on like your list of? I mean, I feel like I know, but just okay. So let me put it like this: I always try to think of a gentle way of saying something, but not skirting around the reality of what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not going to not move toward this conversation. Because it's part of, I think, also having a small business in a small town. There are businesses that pretty much could get away with any level of service. They can. It's almost like we're masochists. Like it's
Yeah.
almost like you can go to a business, they'll smack you across the face. You'll say, "Yes, how much do I owe that?" Like, and you'll come back tomorrow. Like it. You might even complain all over social media about it, but you're going to be right back there tomorrow.
right back at it. Yeah.
And like it's just weird that how low the bar has been set for loving your neighbor, right?
Yes,
Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and so I think where does that? Have you guys actually? Is that just a natural extension of who you are, like your customer service, or is that something that you have to deliberately, like you guys sit down or even just in the middle of the day talk about how you want your customer experience to be and the care that they get, or is that just an extension of?
I think it
That's
just comes.
just
I think
who
it
we
just
are. It's
comes
naturally.
natural.
Yeah, it's
and-
who we are.
Yeah, it's just who we are, and like I said earlier, we kind of have an open door policy. You want to know something, we're gonna put an apron on you and bring you back and show you.
Yeah.
And that's part of educating people so they know
Yes.
different. So and that's we realized 6 years ago, 7 years ago when we started this, you're never gonna make everybody happy.
No.
That was hard.
That's very.
That
hard.
was very
That-
hard for
that was
me.
hard.
I've always been that people pleaser,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I mean Rusty has
Yeah.
been too.
Yeah.
And it was very hard for me. I feel like though Rusty's like, Rhonda, you're not gonna please everybody.
Yeah.
No, you're never gonna make everybody happy.
Yeah.
No, it's
So-
true.
So
Just some people like our bacon, some people don't. It's just it's not the bacon at the store.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
totally different.
That's kind of how ours is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And ours has got a lot more marbling than most people's bacon, but
Mhm.
and it's like if that's not what you're used to, then
Yeah.
you might not like it.
Yeah.
Some people
It's
do really like it.
just
though.
at least
Mhm.
try. At least try and see.
Yeah.
You don't like it or you do. So
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
one of those
that's kind
things
of-
that,
I guess it's just the way we are.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
just.
and that's what's interesting because at your level of where you guys are right now, you pretty much have your hands in every aspect of the operation, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have people that are working for you but one step removed. Like
Yeah.
anytime you can walk in, see that they're cutting something wrong, be like, maybe it'd be better if you did it like this or whatever,
Yeah.
Or you could hear somebody, one of your girls or whatever in the front dealing with a customer. And if they didn't do it the way you wanted, you would probably hear it and be like, hey, maybe next time
Yeah.
do it this way or whatever. I think that sometimes though, like when they get to a bigger, like for instance, the McDonald's again, where like there's nobody there that's even, there's no us there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's no, you're not there,
Mhm.
And so then it's like, you're just counting on a manager that maybe never even got that value from somebody else. Or,
Mhm.
do you think that, as you grow, like that might be something that we've had to do that. Like there's
Yeah.
things where, we're getting ready to start a place in Richmond and that's a
Mhm.
whole different level. And
Yeah.
that is deliberately with the intention of expanding that as a concept. And so we're working on having to build the systems to where I can't be there being nice to customers. I need you to be nice to customers for me. Like
that is.
That has been Rusty's probably hardest part. Luckily, our brother-in-law is our manager, a good friend, like our
Yeah.
supervisor right down the road. She's great too, Amber. But I feel like that was the hardest part for him.
Took us a while.
Yeah,
A few years to take a
Yeah.
vacation.
yeah.
And we like vacationing. So
We love to travel,
Oh.
but now is to the point where like we can leave that plant and we know Matt and Amber
Yes.
is
And
going to
even-
have it taken care of.
and
for
even
us.
the rest of the people that work.
And yeah, and everybody else too.
Sure.
They're just kind of our top one. There's one's been there the longest, but
It
that-
took a while.
Yeah.
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 It did. And it's
Yeah. Because most of the time,
that's
if you-
hard.
if
It's
you
like
go-
leaving your baby.
Yes.
You know, it for the first time.
No
It is.
question.
It's
Mhm.
hard leaving and not knowing how many times the phone rang or who called in. And,
Yeah.
you know what got done, what didn't get done, what needs done. You know. So,
Yeah. No, I get it.
but yeah.
We're in that same boat. And I noticed though that you guys must have done a good job of making that happen because, like you mentioned, I don't see you guys there very often, and nothing has ever changed. And
Yeah.
so like it's
Yeah.
working. You've reproduced yourselves
Yeah.
at least at that level. So
Yeah.
Well,
till
we've
you
been-
build some big facility, then
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I don't know about
Don't,
that.
let's not go there. We're not getting that big.
I do
I
want to
mentally
retire
can't do that.
someday.
yes.
So that's kind of the end game, I guess. So I guess for everybody, but
It has been nice. 'Cause, I mean, we are training somebody else on the saw now as well. So just
Yeah.
kind of getting that is a lot of our stuff is on the job training. Like we have, and that has been, we have a new rapper and she's been there. I mean, not quite a year yet, but that was the hardest part because she was from the city.
Oh yeah.
So, and she never grew up
just
with,
no context.
around
No.
livestock and all
she
that.
didn't know the difference between pork and beef, and that's okay.
Yeah,
Like that's what we're
Sure,
here
that's what you
for.
learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
And,
think just
and now
train-
she closes our shop for us.
yeah,
You know,
she's
she-
the one there.
She's the one there answering the phone when.
And she's
Yeah.
reliable, and yeah, we're very thankful for our
Yeah.
staff for sure.
That's so cool. And so then, so like for now, you don't. So like up here, that'll be.
We're gonna kind of like break it up, I think, between everybody that we
Okay.
have so far.
I see. But
we
there, so
might,
there won't be any. I assume I know the answer to this, but I'm going to just ask
Mhm.
this for sake of it. You won't be processing up there
Correct.
because that's not where
Yeah.
you're
Correct.
expected. So you
Mhm.
guys will be, but because of the way you're structured now with your licensing, you're able to take product from where you process it
Yes.
to here.
Yes.
Kind of like what Winners does, not to compare.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
For the
I
most
mean,
part,
it's
yeah.
kind of like, I mean, I know you guys don't have a store, but kind of like for you guys, you
Mhm.
know, and I don't know like what you did. Like, I know you've taken stuff to Rusty's uncle,
Oh
correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
for like your
Yeah.
Tree Hill Farm. So
Yep,
it's
yep, yep.
kind of like that. It's just,
Yeah.
this is the other,
Just
this is other
basically
business
just a
we're working for.
retail,
Yeah.
retail outlet.
the
for
retail
us.
spot.
So, yeah.
yeah.
So I kind of want it to be that kind of old style meat market when you walked in,
Love it.
and that's what you got because that's what I remember growing up. And
he
that's,
really wanted people to be able to, have the window to show you breaking down the beef and
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
No,
But
I
it's just,
get that.
it's just so hard,
yeah,
to do that. I feel like
That-
yeah,
to get to that point.
It seems
It
to
just-
me that this would be like you mentioned earlier. This, if you were over by more closer to Indy or something.
yeah,
Or even someday you decided to do that would be more of a around here. I just don't know that
yeah. That agree.
because and I don't know how have you ever thought about this or not. I mean, that's why I'm asking. But like for us, we always try to do something that isn't somebody else. Like
Yeah,
because then I don't want to
Different.
compare. I don't want them to say, "Oh, well, you're just like this, only worse," or "You're just like
Yeah.
this, only slightly different," or whatever. And so it's like, I think that that's wise to not do that. Just my
Yeah.
personal opinion, because like
yeah,
Mhm.
like Greenville. I mean, that's just barely big enough. But I would say that it's only big enough right now for the one that's really
yeah,
is known for doing it because they've been there for 130 years.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
and they've really swallowed up everything else.
hmm Yeah.
Including like the Sooners and all those. I mean,
Yeah.
all those that
Yeah.
they've just kind of enveloped all that in because they had the capacity and the time to
Mhm.
to
To do
work
it,
it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, you guys ever worry about that or think about that or how? You know what I mean? Like,
No,
is this something that people will just compare us to somebody else, or do you
Oh.
have an idea that like this is what makes us different?
I people are going to compare it it doesn't matter.
We get compared all the time to
Yeah,
things.
you know, people are always going to compare it to other shops out there and stuff like that. But we're kind of focused on, you know, we didn't start 100 years ago. We started 7 years ago. You know, we started in an old barn. We fixed it up. I did most of the
It's
construction
beautiful, too.
myself.
Rusty's not giving himself enough credit because I had a newborn at this point. Like I was pregnant, I was sick. He built this plant almost from the ground up.
I remember.
And-
I was there throughout your
and-
pretty much most of your.
I had a
and-
lot of good friends on the fire department that I
we-
was on the fire
yes.
department with.
Yes.
A lot of close friends there and stuff that
Yeah.
helped me out. We poured a lot of concrete on Saturday mornings. So,
Yeah. And coldest
uh,
day of the year.
yeah.
Trent will get a laugh out of that one.
Yeah.
It's always the coldest day of the year. We're pouring
So,
concrete.
you know, we're just kind of staying at that. You know, we started out small and you walk before you crawl, or you crawl before you walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, you know, that's kind of where we're at, and we're going to give this a shot uptown, and
Yeah. No, I think
so
it's
make it
exciting.
convenient
Yeah.
for
Yes.
our retail customers so they don't have to come to us. We're going to them. So
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah, no, I agree that that's something that it is. You mentioned earlier, you know, oh, you're 7 miles out of town or whatever. And people, it's just people are much harder to rehabituate than most businesses give them credit for. Like you think, oh, if I just do this, it's going to sell like crazy, and it's going to people are going to change their habits. It's just not. That's just not reality. It's not. It's just not how people think or do. You know, they have a people have a natural inclination away from change because to change requires thought and prioritization, all that, and people have a natural reason to not burn the calories to think that way.
Yeah.
So like
It's true.
if you're
It's so true.
expend the least
Yeah.
amount of energy for the least amount of, you know, for the greatest amount of reward. And so if you've already got something in your mind and it's like, okay, but you guys are one of those businesses though, that I do feel like I hear and see, and you guys are very well supported.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
by the community. Like
we've been very thankful.
I don't think you're pushing your way into something. I think the market is pulling you in that way. And so I hope that that your faith is rewarded. And I'm going to do everything I can to shout that from the mountaintops myself. That we need to support Hub City Market, right?
Hub City Market.
Cha-ching, because that is going to fill a gap that, and also as people move in, more people move into town. They move in from traditionally areas where they already had access to those kind of services.
Yes.
And so that's just one more thing that, you know,
That's
a plant manager at Workhorse or somebody can say, our employees will have access to this.
Yeah.
And that's just a good thing, you know?
So
what's it like working together as a married couple? I have my own ideas with Amanda, but
I would say you and your wife do that, right?
but what? So is it? Do you have to be careful how you talk to each other, or do you have to be deliberate like, to not mix business and life? Or because you mentioned the pressure, I think at a certain point you're like, we weren't really getting along with each other, we weren't getting along with our employees. So when
and that's 100% true.
Yeah.
And I guess the problem, the danger with that could be though, if you deliberately then stifle your business out of hope to not affect your marriage, well then maybe you'll lose the whole business anyway because you're not making good business decisions that at timely, because you're like, well, I don't want to fight with you anymore about it.
Yes.
So how do you navigate that?
We
guys are definitely known as
that's
a team.
still
You don't
a
get one without
continued.
the other.
Yeah.
We are still working on that to this day. It's been what 2.5 years since it's like but even there sometimes, you know, he'll be like, you know, you said this and you know this is how I feel. So you just have to communicate, and that is our number one thing. When me and him both get mad, we tend to, you know, like anyone else, we hold it in.
That's what I do.
So we are still working on ourselves. I feel like on that, but yeah, there is a lot of times I'll be like, he talked to me like this, and why is he doing that? But then you know, I got to think about the other stresses, and then he knows how I am. So,
Yes.
and he's usually right.
No,
So,
I am very thankful to have her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
But it is hard. So I do work at the dental office 2 days a week.
Okay.
So Wednesdays, Thursdays, I still have, I went, it's kind of funny. Because I actually graduated high school and I was going for ag business.
Okay.
I switched my major. I was between ag business and dental. And then I did go around with one of the chemical reps that I met with through Moats at the time.
Uh-huh.
And really nice guy, but then he kind of got it in my head, you know, how much he worked, and which is, I love to work. That's not a big deal. But I'm like, I want a family.
Yeah.
So that was my big thing. I'm like, I want kids. And I know Rusty wanted kids too.
Yeah.
So now you got
so-
a family and 3 jobs.
Yeah. I can't, right?
So
So at that point, which I did, I told him, I'm like, I did love my marketing class in college, and I loved anyways, I was in another business class. I didn't remember I loved those classes. But then I got to the point, I was like, I think I need to switch over to dental. Crazy story. I got into dental assisting. I got a job. My poor dad had an emergency root canal one day and went into our family doc at the time. So I got a job as a dental assistant, which I was going through classes at that point. But I'm like, the Lord just speaks to you in mysterious ways.
Yes,
Because
right.
now I have dental and agribusiness,
Yeah.
which I am very thankful for. I tell God I'm so thankful for that every day.
Yeah.
So, but I think at least I am gone a couple days a week. So we have a little bit of a break there. And I know when I go there, like I can do my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
it
makes
is
sense.
hard. It's hard working with your spouse. It's
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
10 times harder than having employees.
Mhm.
You know?
It is.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
We-
so
Well, because you don't. One, you don't live with them, so you do get a break from them. But two,
Yeah.
no matter what, you shouldn't care about them more than you do.
Yeah.
So like it's the most important person, and so like
Yeah.
you always care about what they think. And
you can
so,
get too busy in life.
yeah,
working.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
you gotta learn to slow down
And
not,
I think
not take things for granted. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And I think like just once again, so like because this is kind of our spot where we kind of air just this is like a therapy session for people like Jason and myself when we talk or whatever people we have in. It's like, you know, we want to, there's something cathartic about just expressing things and bringing them out into the light of day, you know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, at appropriate levels, you know, but I just, you know, like when we closed down Winchester, I felt like such a failure because it wasn't all my decision. We made all these decisions as a group and as a larger family, you know, even
Yeah.
my brother Cleo and all that. So like we're all in that together, you know, but I was the one that kind of was making a lot of the real daily, you know, decisions and things like that. And, you know, people were just expecting me to be the one that if it wasn't going to work, to be the one to say it's not going to work, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so then,
It's not a failure. Yeah. But
yeah,
Yeah.
but I know what you're saying, but no, it's
It's
not
you-
not a failure.
It's
It's
yeah.
just it's a business decision.
yeah, it
Yeah,
just did. Yeah,
it's
just
a business. It's just-
decision. And,
Mhm.
you know, but I started to impute that onto Amanda.
Yeah.
Where
Mhm.
I would start feeling like she was thinking I was an idiot,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, and she
Mhm.
wasn't doing that.
Right.
But it's just that I was seeing it that way. So that, for instance, then things that we would discuss about the deli or about, you know, Richmond or about the farm or whatever, other things. And it's like, if she would have any disagreements, I'm like, oh, you think I blew this one. So now
Yeah.
you're
Mhm.
afraid that I'm going to make some crazy decision with Richmond or whatever, you know?
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
that's one of those things about working with your spouse. Like,
Mhm.
but also it is a good
Yeah.
check because nobody knows you better than your spouse, hopefully.
Yeah.
And they, as long as, like what you said, the
Mhm.
communication's there,
Yeah.
they can keep you from going off a cliff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But also I think the flip side is you have to be careful that because your opinion of them, because of your thoughts about the importance that you put on their opinion of you,
Mhm.
you have to be very careful that that doesn't affect it in
Yeah.
the other way. And you're like, you know, it bleeds over. And,
Yeah.
you know, I had to just accept that. No, you know what? I think I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm
that- and-
imputing that
yeah.
on you because I feel like somebody should be calling me an idiot and they're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. And there's been times that I've had ideas and, you know, tried to do them or tried to go that route. And she's kind of been like, hey, you know, we can't do that, you know, or she's been, you know, had stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work, you know, or
Yeah.
or yeah, that's a great idea. So I think it's definitely a blessing to have somebody like that can put up with you and take it, and
yes.
still at the end of the day, still be
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah. It takes
We're-
strong
and we're-
people to
we're-
It
do
does.
that.
It
True.
does.
Mhm.
You can't have like one strong and one weak.
Yeah.
Like you
It
would,
just-
that would be a problem because by what just my thoughts about it would be that because one would then always be subordinate to the other. And even if they weren't mentally, they
Yeah.
would be holding a grudge about that
Yeah.
over time.
And it is hard because like, and it's just like, working, like you said, working together. It's hard when you screw up to your spouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very hard when you mess up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been messing up all the time, and that's why I feel like I just want to go back to Dr. Matt's because I don't screw up at Albany, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, but it's very hard on that.
Yes. No, I get it.
Mm.
Yeah. I agree with you 100% because and she's the same way with me. She's always been that way. Like she, has always said, like my world revolves around your thoughts of me. And so like,
Yeah.
if she thinks I think she's doing something dumb,
Mhm.
she's going to either break down or get really mad and defensive. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, that's just who we are.
And
Yeah.
it is. We throw up that shield, and I've been really trying to be like, it's just, he's just, yeah, you did this, Rhonda, and you, for some reason, you weren't focused, and that was been my thing lately. Focusing on being a mom, being a business partner, being a dental hygienist. It's very
Yes.
hard to balance that. So
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
why
yeah.
I did go part time. I was full time before, so I did go part time a year and a half ago, I think, or going on 2 years. So I feel like it has helped, but
Yeah.
it's a balance.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And then on top of that, then you have to actually execute at a pretty high level, whatever, if you care about your customers at all. And then, so then that's just extra pressure. So
Mhm.
like, I know with
Yeah.
our business, like
Yeah.
the level that we execute at that we try to execute at, we aim for is perfection. So like,
Yeah.
now we
Mhm.
realize we don't hit it, but that is what we aim for. And
Mhm.
we are full of, our whole business is built on grace, including all of our employees. They didn't know how
Yeah.
to take us. They still some of them still don't, but most of our employees, even the ones that we had that we lost, still treat us like mom and dad,
Yeah.
like big
Mhm.
brother or sister.
Yep.
And that there was something different about the way that we managed, and and it was because of we were just grace first, like you just but we're aiming for perfection. So you're free to mess up, but you're also free to do it perfect. Like let's shoot for that, because we just
Yeah.
really want to give these people a really nice time. We really want to give these people a really good product. And so, but then that also builds an expectation in people's minds that you have to keep up.
Yeah.
And like, that's the brand that you build, and that's the niche that you're filling. That's just adding even more pressure.
Yeah.
And that is, yes. And your Humbers, that's where we got, because that's Rusty's expectation. This is where we're going to be, and this is what he expects out of you.
Yeah.
So when he was stepping back, we had some employees and that had been in the field and stuff. And I felt like Rusty's expectations were just so high, because he's like, he knew that they knew better,
Yeah,
and that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real hard.
And it's
Yeah,
hard, and it's
losing
hard, and
close
it's
friends, and
it is.
Yeah.
And
that
you
that you
and that's where we have been. We've been our friends and our family, and
Yeah.
we're thankful for the ones that have stuck out with us. But that's just to the point where, we strive.
It's hard. Yeah.
We strive for that.
Yeah.
Basically 120% for Rusty. He just wants it, make sure it's right.
It has to be.
It has to be. In a business, it does. Yeah.
Or I'm not going to be able to
No.
cut
why,
them a check at the end of the
Yeah.
week.
yeah,
Like
why would you do it?
it has to be. Like I have always, I don't want no pity for them, but I don't think the people that work for other people understand what the person that signs that check actually has on their plate.
Oh yeah.
I have not only just my family to worry about, I have everybody that
6,
works
7
for
other
me,
other families.
You know, I
Yeah.
got to make sure that we
So
have
we
enough.
have to hit this top number so you can get your
Hey,
number.
You know, I have to make sure we have enough work there for my guys. If not, I got to send them home. Then I'm worried about, well, do they have enough money? Are they going to stick around?
Yeah.
Are they going to, how are they
Man.
doing? You know,
Yeah.
so
I know.
it's a lot harder than people
And
think.
having everybody get along
Yeah,
is very hard too.
Yes.
Like having different personalities, working together. That's why it was kind of nice to step back a little bit because
Yeah.
you know it's a couple
Yeah.
other people.
slow down a little bit,
And yeah,
yeah,
I
it
had
is.
something
It's
else.
hard owning a business,
It is.
especially owning a business and being successful.
And
Yes.
then, you know, and just being a
5,
business
6,
owner,
7 years
payroll
into
taxes and all that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
people don't realize how much we have to pay out
Yeah,
for them
It's-
to have a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. That's the things that nobody knows. That's the things.
that's the things that no one teaches
that
you.
people aren't
Yeah.
teaching.
When
They
you're getting
don't.
into
They don't teach it, and
Yeah.
the businesses don't teach it even.
Mhm.
You know, like I think that that's a helpful thing is for the employees to know. Like I've worked for different businesses through the year, and nobody has ever said, "This is what you're paying in this, but we're paying this and that and the other."
Mhm.
In addition to that, so it's costing
Mhm.
us this much more to have you than not. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And-
and,
and, like,
and that's the truth. Yeah,
I mean, I just feel like that's something that if employees knew more, maybe they wouldn't. It's human nature to not be content, but
yeah,
you know,
Mhm.
but no, I think they would be more understanding though that, oh wow, okay, yeah, they're going through. They have to. There's things they're thinking about that I don't
Yeah.
really have to. And
There is
Yeah.
a lot of behind the scenes things, and
Yeah.
that is
Absolutely.
so you are 100% right. There's
Yeah.
they just don't realize what
Yeah.
you have to go through.
and it's
and the
that-
other thing,
and that's something too. Like I wish that they would teach. I don't know whether in school or just like people having mentors to teach you that because I really didn't, and that's all the stuff I had to learn.
Yes.
Is everything that goes along with owning a business. It's easy to open a
Yeah.
store, or it's easy to open it. It's just can you keep it going?
yeah,
And
Yeah.
that's where it gets tough. But,
no, that's the hard part. And
yeah,
and like there's a book called The E-Myth, and it's just one of the best business books that I've ever read. And the whole point of it is, the entrepreneurial myth is that if you are really good, for instance, and the one that he uses is like baking a cake or baking pies or something, so you're really good at baking a cake, and then somebody says, oh, you should do that for a living. You should bake cakes for a living. Okay. There's a difference between baking a cake
Yeah.
and running a business that bakes cakes.
yes,
Mhm.
Somebody that runs a business that bakes cakes and does it well would probably also be really good at running a business that makes widgets, because running the business is the actual skill.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
can find the widget maker and the
Yeah.
baker.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's where most
Correct.
people that go into business are folks like yourselves and
Yeah.
us,
Mhm.
that you were really good at doing something and you had a passion for it, and
it's
then
kind of led
people
into
pull you into it, and you
Yeah.
just go, and then you're like, oh, that
yeah,
I'm not a businessman. I got to learn how to be a businessman
Yeah,
now,
and I-
You
because
do.
Yeah.
because
Yes.
that wasn't what I was. I was a hick farmer, and I still tell
Mhm.
people that. I'm like, I'm just a hick farmer
Yeah.
that
Oh, that's
that
Yeah.
got
that's
caught up in a
strategic.
cash flow business,
yeah,
and that's different. I'm used to dealing with
Mhm.
very large checks 4 times a year,
yeah,
Mhm.
going in and out,
Mhm.
and
yeah.
now you're like, no, every day,
Every day,
hour
yeah,
by hour, you're looking at your sales and being like, are we going to hit a target? Are we
Yeah.
not going to hit a target? And like,
Yep.
that's
Oh,
a whole
Rusty's got like
different
3
world.
different spreadsheets.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like you
We-
have to know your numbers.
Yeah.
You have
it's
to.
like this, and this, and I'm like, I wouldn't have done that, and
Yeah.
that is why
Yeah.
he's a businessman. I'm like,
Yeah.
that is very smart. I would have done QuickBooks. Nope, he's got
Yeah.
this and this and this too. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, which is
Yeah.
smart.
Yep. No, I think that's exciting. I mean, you're following a similar trajectory as I think most people that do it, that go into business. I mean, you just have to learn, and you don't know what you don't know
No.
until you know. And usually by then it's cost you something.
yes,
I
yeah,
mean, like,
For sure.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so, no, I mean, I have just a lot of respect for what you guys are doing and where you're going.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's
been a journey.
oh yeah.
and it's been fun.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing too,
It
though,
has
isn't
been.
it?
Yeah.
For all the stress and everything, it's like
it's still what I want to
Still-
wake up and do every day.
exactly.
It's
That's it.
just I don't know. It's kind of like being a farmer. You're just bred into it.
Yeah.
It's just what you are. You
Yeah.
know. So
It is. I agree.
We're business
It's
people.
like you just don't
Mhm.
want to.
So
If you could see yourself doing something else, then I would say do it.
yeah.
Like
That's what
Exactly.
It's
Rusty
not
said. I
because it's
said,
not worth
that's what I
it.
told
Yeah.
Rusty. I said, you can make a lot more money going to manage, like he said, like a big meat packers
Yeah,
plant.
absolutely.
He's like, I could be a plant manager, I'm sure,
Yeah,
like,
no doubt.
I could probably make
and
a lot more money
he can
than I'm
make
making now.
way more
you
money,
know,
but then, we
I don't
have,
want to.
we have our staff that, have families that are close to home and flexible schedules, I feel like for the most part. And we like what we have. We
Yeah.
like that small town feel.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's where it gets hard is when people, most by and large people appreciate it. And then there's always just some that you're just like, I'm just like you mentioned earlier, you're never going to please everyone.
Yeah.
What we have found is that we don't displease people that are our customers. Like
Yeah.
the people that take shots at us are people that have never even had our stuff. I'm like,
Yes.
have you ever had anything? Have you ever done business with us? Have you like
Yeah.
what how are you even forming your opinions? Like I don't even know you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's things I'll see things on social media or something. It's like,
Oh,
what on earth? Like
Yeah.
I know,
where did you
social-
come up with some of that stuff? And
social media.
it's like it's a
That's
double-edged sword. Yeah. No, it's a double-edged sword because we built our business on that from the beginning. And so like we're on there. And part of why we do our podcast is because, if somebody else doesn't make you, somebody else can't break you. And so like
That's right.
we have a direct line with our customers. They know that I always, whenever our staff that, particularly back, when we had 30 to 40 staff members, and if people that work the front of house, the ones that we could sort out and say, okay, you got the hospitality gene, like you either have that or you don't.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
people are happy when you're around them or they're just indifferent. If they're happy when you're around them, then you probably have the hospitality gene.
You're going out. Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
you're our servers. And
Yeah.
so like,
Yeah.
and so like,
Yeah.
and then they'll say, no, but if you have the hospitality gene, you also get your feelings hurt pretty easily because you want to make everybody happy because that's what
Yeah.
you're trying to do. You're being hospitable. And so then we'd have people, if there was a customer that would complain or something and they would come back, they'd be in the kitchen, they'd eat some of them, sometimes the first time it ever happened, they'd have tears in their eyes or something. I'm just like, don't worry about that. I'd ask what happened. And I'd say, they're not our customers.
Yeah.
And she would say, well, how do you know they're not our customers? I was like, it's real simple. Our customers love us
Yeah.
because they know that we love them and we would do
Yeah.
anything for them. And if they're not even giving you a chance to do that,
Yeah.
there's somebody else's customers that got lost in our place.
That
Right.
makes so much sense because
Yeah.
Somebody else will
Yeah.
resonate with them perfectly. McDonald's will love them and they'll
Yeah.
love McDonald's.
Yeah.
But if they're
Yeah.
coming in and treating you like this, they don't
They're
understand
not
how
your-
we treat people.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I should say this, but I already told Rusty that. Like, if somebody comes in and complains about our prices, like, you can go somewhere else.
Yes.
Like, and I'm
Yeah.
And you
sorry.
don't mean that mean.
I
No,
don't.
It's just reality.
I don't. It is reality. I'm like, because this is the market that we're looking to do, and that this is going to be our prices, and that's just how it is.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys considered? Now this is going to be a funny question, and I don't know how much time you have. So I mean, we're a little over an hour right now. We usually run around the hour and a half range, but
No, you're fine.
okay. I have a friend that he said, don't meet your heroes. That's what everybody always says, and he said he had a dinner one day with, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Joel Salatin, but he's like big into like, just pastured. He's written a lot of books and stuff about pastured poultry and just sustainable farming and all that. And he's like one of the, godfathers of that movement. And he was always hyper local, like local. And he's over in Virginia, but he'll truck stuff, to like the neighboring cities, but he wouldn't like ship. He would never ship anything.
Yeah.
And, now after deriding people for so long at conferences and things about, well, that's not local at all. You're shipping it across country. You might as well be Walmart, and now it's like, he's finally come around the idea, like, I think that there's something to be said for shipping it, because in shipping it, you're also exporting our worldview and our views about the food and about those kind of things. You're reaching more people ultimately with that. And it's like, well, I wish that you wouldn't have shaped, a lot of minds full of mush over the years to be against that. Now you're on board with it. Have you guys ever thought about that? Like, you have the store and then you just get a FedEx account and you start shipping out products?
I
I just feel like it's going to be so high by the time you buy all that
just
stuff, but maybe not.
I don't know. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I've never run
Like
it.
I've always seen
Which
like
we used to, we looked into it, and
Mhm.
I even had a thing worked out with Continental Carbonics and
Yeah.
the Andersons.
yeah, so
to
that's what
get the
Rusty
dry
told
ice.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my thing. Rusty's
Yeah.
like, well, dry ice isn't an issue because he used to work at the Andersons.
Okay.
Actually, when we opened the shop, so he
Yeah.
was doing both
Ah.
at that point.
Yeah.
I see.
And I'll never forget the day he came to me. He's like, I got to do this full time. And I'm like, okay.
yeah.
We have a newborn.
Scariest thing I ever did.
Like
yeah.
we have a 4-month-old. Like our
Oh, my.
okay, and that was just a scary thing for me, you know.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah,
too.
on that, Rusty's like, well, I'm not really have an issue with that because the Andersons do that. But I haven't looked into it a whole lot. But I
Yeah,
just feel like
I was just curious.
yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
talked about just the size of markets and things like
But
that.
every time I see like the butcher box pop
Yeah,
up on my Facebook,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, that should be Oliver's Butcher Shop.
Like that. That's what I was kind of wondering,
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Because
but-
we used to do
It is.
that. And
But on the same hand, too, I don't know that I don't want to get that big.
yeah,
I won't, because number one, you get that big, you're losing the touch. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
you're not connecting with everybody that walks in the door. You're not
Mhm.
you're not going to be in the plant working. You're going to be sitting behind a computer making sales somewhere or scheduling something, and that's
yeah,
I don't want to be that big. We took off and grew pretty good there, and I just
And a lot of people don't realize that. Like Rusty's still a process, you know, he's still a
Yeah.
butcher in our plant.
Yep.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, we have to do a lot of errands and Matt
Sure.
will take over. And now we're training another guy. But, you know, I'm like,
still
he built
work.
us, Rusty
Yeah.
still works as labor in our
Yeah,
plant.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he
I didn't
was,
know
you
that,
know,
so-
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I figured if you fill
Yeah.
in for somebody who didn't come in or
Mhm.
something. No, I didn't know. I had no clue.
Yeah. So we're getting to the point where it's like I say, it's actually been nice. We have a good group of people that we
Mhm.
can actually take off and go on vacation.
Yeah,
now,
that's
or,
exciting.
or go do stuff and not feel like we're stressed about the shop, or I am at least. And
Mhm.
but yeah, I still pick up a knife and work, and I have to.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
So
And he's always said that I cannot sit behind the desk.
yeah,
yeah.
I don't want to get big enough
No,
that
I get it.
we're
That was one thing when I did go part time, so I could kind of help him more with the office stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah, I am in there. I am behind the desk, but you know, it's kind of part of it too, of being a business owner and
Yeah.
co-business owners and stuff like that.
yeah.
life's too short to get too busy to where all you
No,
do
I
is
get it.
work.
Where do you guys like? What do you guys like to try? Both of you have said you like to
Oh.
travel. What do you guys like to do, or what's your?
Mountains.
We love the mountains.
Okay,
so-
like actually hiking or just getting a cabin and looking at it.
We
No.
we do like hiking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
But our bodies, we realize,
Yes.
even in our 30s, I'll never forget my dad telling me the 30s were the best years of his life. And I hit 30 and I think everything went downhill for me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but Rusty's like,
Yeah.
Rhonda, you're a girl, you've had kids. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but
True.
So we
we
do.
do,
like
we-
to do a lot of hiking.
we
Yeah.
do
I like to
hiking.
hunt. I like to go hunt.
We like to be in the woods. Like
Yeah.
we are woods people anywhere
Exciting.
that we can be
Yeah,
in
I get it.
nature.
Boating. We like to go boating.
Yeah, we love
Nice.
boating.
So-
Do you guys have a boat?
Yes.
We
Okay,
do.
cool.
So
Where's your favorite place to take it?
Cumberland.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
I
It's so
love-
cliche.
People talk about here, and my parents ruined me because we would start vacationing in Cumberland, you know, for a week.
Okay.
You know, obviously with the Whitetails actually in town, you know, we're friends and family. We would go down there, and I'm like, there's nothing like this.
Yeah.
Like you
It's true.
can't just
There's
can't go
quite
to
a-
Brookville and get this feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's quite a few people from town that go down there.
And everyone's like, oh, Dale Hollow, and I'm sure it's great. I just grew up in Cumberland. I know my way around Cumberland.
Yeah.
So it's 4.5 hours we can be to Lee's Ford. And
Yes.
It's
You can
nice.
stop at Bucky's.
Yeah, I know everyone's talking
Yeah.
about that. yeah.
So yeah. So,
I actually
Yeah.
went there for the first time, and here we went and saw some friends in Texas, which was awesome. So that was pretty fun. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
but we like to see other places too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's cool. I like that. That's
Mhm.
awesome. I love that for you guys. And then do you take the kids or you don't? I mean, or is you just
Both,
yeah.
both. Yeah, we
try to
would-
do one trip a year
Yeah,
on our
Wow.
anniversary. Just
Yeah.
a her and I trip.
I
and
love
we
that.
always
And then
had
we
done
take
that
kids
in the
the rest of the
past.
time.
I think that's a good
Especially since we kind of had our one point in our lives when we're like, oh yeah, we do have to focus on each
Yeah.
other, and we do have
Yes.
to work at this relationship. So we've
Yeah.
taken trips finally, when the kids got old, obviously, it's hard when they're young, but we're
Yes.
to the point where we can leave the
Yeah.
kids with grandma and grandpa's, and
the
our
weekend,
parents are awesome. His parents are parents, so
Yeah.
we do have a good support system, and aunts and uncles. You
Yeah.
know, we have a lot of that support, which is nice.
Very good. Yeah, because that is important. I mean, people just don't realize, it's one of those things where if you just work your job and you come home and you both schedule a vacation or whatever, it's like, it's just life is, I mean, I've had jobs and I've run business, and life is definitely easier with a job. I mean, it's just,
It is.
it maybe in some ways it's less fulfilling. In some ways, I think it could be more fulfilling because you do get other things. You can have a work-life balance, whereas when it comes to running your own business, you have to make the work-life balance.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You have to look at it like your boss is looking at it in a factory. You have to become your boss and say, no, this is your job. This is what I expect from you. This is the hours that it needs to be. And you have to try to make, now notwithstanding emergencies, but you have to try to do something to mimic that, because otherwise you'll never know if you're doing enough. Nobody, you don't have anyone to tell you good job.
Yeah.
It's yourself or your spouse, and you're like, well, you're gonna lie to me anyway. You
Yeah,
say this shit looks good. Like,
Yeah.
I can't rely on you. When you
that-
work in a
that's
factory,
exactly.
somebody else gives you, they're your little, put your little smiley sticker on your cheek like you're in kindergarten and say, good job, you did a good job today. And I can go home feeling that.
Yeah.
I don't ever go home feeling
Yeah.
that I did a good job. There's always something more that
But
you feel like
that
you could do.
is a
unless I
business
did-
or what was that? We listened to some kind of a podcast
Yeah, we
or a
listen
book
to a lot
together.
of podcasts, books.
So
Yeah.
we're super excited about this podcast,
Yeah.
by the way.
So
Great.
yeah, and that's
And he does better than me. I still like my novels, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
But he's like, you need to listen to this.
I always do that.
To this Navy SEAL.
Straight the daylights out of her.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
But
I don't know, just business and just
But that's what
to,
okay. Oh,
to be a better
no, I'm
person.
sorry. It was a
Yeah.
TikTok. It was a TikTok that you sent me. Something about if you're a truly successful person, you're never gonna think you're good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I
That
feel
was
like-
something that he sent me, and
I
I'll
feel
never.
like
And I
that's
was like,
true.
that's
I mean,
so true.
Yeah.
Because you still feel like you're just there's
Yeah,
something else.
There's
that you
always
could be
something to do. Yeah.
doing. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite business podcast? I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but like if you can't remember, because when somebody asks me a question like that, I just go blank. So
Yeah.
I'm if you do,
If I had my phone, I left
Oh,
my phone
sure,
lay
yeah.
on the
Like that, yeah.
counter. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'd pull them all up here for you.
Yeah.
But
have you ever listened to How I Built This with Guy Raz?
I have not. I
It-
listened to some of Guy's stuff.
Great
But I haven't
Creators,
done that
maybe,
one.
or he's
Yeah.
got a couple different ones, but yeah. How I Built This, he does nothing
Yeah.
about entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
it's amazing the stories that they tell. And it's amazing how almost every single one of them is identical.
Yeah.
Like it is truly amazing.
Yeah.
Like
And it's true too, because you sit down and talk to people like you and I, you've said a lot of stuff, about your side of the business that I can relate to. It's like
Yeah.
everybody goes through it, and that's something I've learned too that I didn't know in the beginning. It's
and
I
that
don't
gives
know.
you hope.
Yeah, it does.
Mhm.
It
gives-
does.
because you're like, oh, okay, this is where I am. Like I told my wife the other day, I was like, so many books that I read and listen to podcasts and all that. And then, I was like, well, what happened with Winchester? I had some good people, some really good people. I mean, tell me like, that's not business owners that I really respect. And they're
Mhm.
much farther along
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
much wealthier than me. And they're
Mhm.
like, that was a learning experience. That
Mhm.
like, that was not a waste. That was,
Yeah.
Just
It's
you
building
just
you.
move
Yes.
on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just deal with it, move on. And I thought about that. And I told Amanda that someday, maybe 10, 15 years down the road, depending on where we're at with our business or whatever, maybe I'll be sitting on a podcast somewhere and somebody will be interviewing me and it'll be 3 sentences in a 45-minute interview, you
Yeah.
know? Oh man, I remember this one time we
Mhm.
during COVID,
Mhm.
somebody invited us to have this building and we're like jumped on it because we were green and ignorant and
Mhm.
Yeah.
got in way over our heads and did way too much and all that.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. And we just wanted it to work so badly that, I held on to it longer than what I should have until it was just bleeding us dry and about ruined us.
Yeah.
But that we're beyond that now.
I
Yeah.
have
So there you go.
I have a lot of respect for you for
I do.
saying that.
I do too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
Because
it's-
that is hard. That's hard to say.
Yeah. put your
Mm-hmm.
guard down and
Mm-hmm.
call it when
It
it's
is.
time.
Well,
You
because
know,
we're in a small
that's a
town
smart
and-
business decision.
Yeah.
E-
because-
Either way you look at it, it's not a bad. It's not
No.
a bad. Nothing
No,
bad
and
at all.
and you know what we were thinking the whole time? You've mentioned your employees and stuff. We two things.
That's
made
the
us
hardest
want it
part.
as
That's
long as
why.
we could. It's
Mhm.
like, God, where,
Yeah.
you know,
Where are
and
they gonna
They all
go?
lived,
Yeah,
Mhm.
which made me, realize
that's hard. Yeah,
you were making decisions based on emotion and
Mhm.
not the numbers
Mhm.
don't lie,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I went to the school. They asked me Mrs. Black asked me to talk to her, I think it's 6th grade class or something
yeah,
about just business, whatever. And right after Winchester closed, I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to talk about because it was like their business or their entrepreneur. It was their entrepreneurial class. So I was like,
yeah,
okay. And I just told them, your numbers never lie. Your business doesn't care about emotion, and
Mhm.
it doesn't matter if you do.
Yep.
If the numbers don't work, you can't love
can't do
your
it.
employees. It won't work.
Yeah.
They all gave me a stack of letters, like of
Aw.
appreciation.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Like they
Yeah.
got the points,
Yeah.
like, and one of them was like, I thought I wanted to be in business, but now I realize, I think I would do that completely on emotion. So I'm going to have to think about that,
Yeah.
And she wanted to do a certain business. And I told her, like it's different to do that or be a person that runs a business that does
Yeah.
that. She's like, I don't know that I'm a business person right now. So
Yeah.
you might have saved me.
And
And I'm like,
that's great because you saved them a lot
how
of
cool is that?
time and a lot of money and a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
Figuring it out because it's tough. It
Yeah.
is really tough.
And so I just want people though to know the reality of it, that are driving down the street and judging
Yeah.
people and judging businesses and wondering why they do what they do, or they're forced to make decisions they don't want to make. And it's like, then you do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you do it.
Yeah.
You're not doing it.
Yeah. They're
Like,
I just had that
Like-
conversation.
they're
I mean, I
yeah.
don't want to get into this
Oh,
this
sure.
a whole lot, but just all the bad things that the
People say,
Union
yeah.
City, Indiana school system has been
Yeah.
bashing,
Yes.
the
I
admin
get it.
about, and even of the city. I'm like, those are the people that aren't involved.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they are doing the best that they can and the best that they see fit.
That's it.
And I just feel like that is so wrong for people
Yeah.
just to bash
To
out
bad
on that.
Yeah.
Even anybody
Mm.
like I said, with the city is so helpful with entrepreneurs. Like
Oh, yeah.
you want a building, they'll give you a building uptown.
Yeah.
They'll find you 3 buildings at work
Mhm.
and you can pick which one you want. You know,
Yeah.
and it's like,
But
They
and then
want
somebody
you.
does it, and then they try,
Yeah.
and then if they fail or whatever, then people are like, see, nothing works.
Yeah.
And you see this, that, or the other. It's like
but
they're trying. They're
yeah, at
what are
least
you
they're
doing?
trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. I don't either. It's
That kind of mentality. Like I think sometimes people are afraid of being left behind or being like they're afraid that something will go a certain direction and they won't fit into it, or things like that. Maybe
Mhm.
there's got to be a reason that makes people so quick to want to just criticize everything. And
yeah.
it's just weird. But yeah, I thought that was a interesting thing. I got one last question for you guys.
All right.
Okay.
Do you have, so I have a feeling what you're going to say about this, just based on some things you've already said, but do you have a philosophy of like regional food or local food, or the necessity for that or whatever? Or is it just kind of pragmatic that, I just grew up a meat cutter. That's what I am. That's what I love. And that's just what we're going to try to do? Or is it driven by is there some kind of a deeper idealism or whatever? Like, like for instance, with myself, if I go to Walmart, for instance, and look at the meat, or the produce, and I look at the quality of it versus the price of it and everything, and I'm like, there's got to be a better way than this. Like that,
Yeah.
Or I look at what everybody's eating, and they got to eat this junk meat, and then they got to go buy all these crazy sauces that are full of all these chemicals and everything to try to cover the fact that there's no flavor in the meat.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Like
Mhm.
there is definitely an idealism in my family that like we really think there could be a better way. And also
Yeah.
the fact that like McDonald's, like you get treated like livestock. And I'm like, well, we're about food and community around food. Like that there's something been lost in the way that we eat now.
Mhm.
In terms of we are literally treated like cattle that go up to the trough, and then
Yep.
and you
Yep.
just don't have grandma's table anymore.
That's
or any of
what
that
I was
stuff.
just thinking.
So
I'm
do
like,
you-
we need more grandmas and grandpas around.
like that.
Like
Mhm.
Do you-
that's what it is. It's
Do
you
you,
know,
do you guys have a philosophy like that, or a way that you're pushing towards, or something like that, or is it just kind of day to day, like, let's just survive and feed our employees?
No, we'd have hung it up a long time ago if it was just about that.
I suspect.
But
Mhm.
it's try to do the best we can with. There's a community of farmers around here that are raising some great livestock,
Yes.
and and they got to be processed somewhere. And why not give us a shot of doing the best we can do with it? And so I think that's kind of where we're at.
I love that.
It's
Mhm.
the livestock's here. Give us the opportunity to work with you on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Support the
Yeah.
the smaller producers.
Yeah.
that-
Yep.
I just wish more people would know about that, about how you can support your local farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you guys still do your vegetables,
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Not we're switching it, but because we
Mhm.
want to do it uptown here. Yeah. Over by the school, the property on the corner there. But
Okay.
yeah. But no, yeah, so all that came from philosophy first,
Yeah.
Mhm.
What we're kind of moving into, I'll just give a little bit, but
Okay.
no, we are doing like we used to do our mobile markets, and those would
Mhm.
go into more of like food insecure areas, and we would take EBT and food and WIC vouchers and all those kind of things. And like, so for right now, I'm thinking, we want to add that in, because there's a lot of people in town, like we are in a food insecure area actually.
Mhm.
And so like there are
We
things
are.
that we could do that would be more finished products, that as long as it's designed to be taken home and finished there, then you can do that. And so, I'm thinking that would be more, that's something that's very much in line with our vision of things, but also it would be something that would be able to bring more people into with the idea, like, because it would be surprising how many people care about food,
Yeah.
Mhm.
whether it be the raw foods that we would do at Trio Farms. And it's like people, I'm like, it wouldn't be the person, because everybody, when you're in business, they always like, who's your target person? Who's your avatar? Who's your whatever you want to call it? Who's your this person, and you got this dream customer, this dream demographic, and what is it? And that's what you shoot for. And, and it's like the people that are our customers a lot of times would surprise us, and at Roots too. It's like, and I would know who they were. And I'm like, they prioritized to eat there. Like, they weren't eating McDonald's every day. They were coming once a week and eating at Roots. And like, that was their happy time.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of people like that want the things that like we offer, that you guys offer, like that. I think people are more sophisticated than big companies give them credit for.
I think so too.
They can think through the issues, and if they're made aware, like you said, I wish more people knew, and that's what made me think of it.
Yeah.
That's what this podcast is about. That's what our social media is about. Like, we want to influence that and educate people so that they realize this is why people are doing it. This is what they're offering. This is why it's valuable. This is, I mean, like
I think it's great. I think it's great that you guys are doing this. I think it's great what you guys have done in town.
Well,
You guys are a staple.
we
for
are
sure.
trying.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
trying, and we're not giving up on it. Like,
Yeah, we
It's-
want you here. We want you guys here.
Yeah.
For sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of support from our customers. I mean, and the people around, even the people that aren't our customers, but realize what we're doing, the void that we're filling or what we're trying to accomplish. They are very supportive. And so,
Yeah.
we would be here whether they are or not. But until literally, I mean, I'm the guy that ran Winchester 3 years longer than I should have. So,
Yeah.
Pretty
Right.
tough.
so yeah. It's going to take more than that to get me out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, do you guys have any closing thoughts or something you're just dying to get off your chest?
thank you.
Yes,
Thank
I
you
was
for
gonna say
having us.
thank you for
Yeah.
having us. We appreciate you even thinking about us.
Oh, I did,
When Rusty
yeah.
said podcast, I'm like, that is so cool.
I was nervous to even ask you guys, believe it or
No.
not, because I was just like, well, maybe they're too busy. Maybe they just, it doesn't even fit with what they're thinking.
I think this is what we need more of this. We need
Mhm.
more. There needs to be more
There needs-
business people out there talking to each other.
Yeah,
Because
More support.
Yeah.
Like, because you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
exactly.
A lot of
know.
the stuff that you said,
Yeah.
being a business owner, I relate to it, and didn't know that,
Yes. Yeah, you need to
and I
support
think
group.
that's part of that, having them, the mentors and helping each other to grow, to be
Yes.
successful.
Yep.
So,
No, I agree.
I think it's great.
There's been a lot of times people's been talking about stuff at our market. I'm like, well, I don't want to step on Darby's toes,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
that's Darby's
what you guys do,
business,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
we want you guys to succeed. We want you guys here in town.
Well, we want you to succeed
So-
because once again, you fill a crucial role that
Yep.
ideas that I have don't exist without.
Yeah.
Like that's a crucial spot in the value chain is the
Yeah.
processing.
Mhm.
And so like if you can't survive and thrive doing that, then there's a lot of farmers around here that don't have a place to take their food. And like, well then, okay, they went local or regional food because you don't have the place to process it. So that you have to, it's gotta be both. And so no, that's one of those things where we, thought about, like from the farm side and everything, it's like, well, there's ways that we can fit, but then there's also like you said that, and we say we have the exact same thing. We're like, well, we're, so like, we've discussed doing like Tree Hill Farms meats here and stuff. And I'm like, we don't need to do that. That's not really the route that we're at, And so I'm like, gosh, if somebody else in town, because we were thinking about doing like putting Kings in, and I'm like, why would we do that? You're doing that, like that exact thing. Hopefully that works out and if that's something you don't decide to do, I'm not, I'm not,
we had
campaigning for that.
No, we had talked about
we did
getting in
just talk
contact
about
with
it,
them, but we just,
Too
one
much.
of the million things that
Sure.
we've been through in the
there's been
last couple
a
months
lot.
trying to get this up and going.
been-
So
But yeah, no, ours, what we're trying to do is still more toward the prepared side.
Yeah.
More toward, and that's just, even the stuff that we grow and everything is mainly to be used in our prepared side. Like we're not the retail direct to consumer products like we used to do. We've kind of moved on from that. And it's just, that's just not really what we're now. It's like, I want things from local farmers that through people like you that we can use to source for our products.
Yeah.
Because we can't do all that.
and that's kind of what
that's
kind of what we're looking for too, is local people in the community that has things that food related that we can put in our store to help them sell.
Yeah.
Because it helps
Sure.
help them sell, which also helps draw people in the door for us too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. And that's kind of something that I've learned over the years of being in business is if I can help somebody else out, it's going to help me out in return too. It's going to come back around. So
and in my mind, it's like, so this is beyond the last question, but like we at Winchester, we'd always have steak night. We always got all of our steaks from Winners. That's just where we got them from. And I tell them exactly what we wanted, and they would always provide exactly what we wanted. So that was good. That was just supporting another, local business, whatever. I would love to see that kind of thing with you guys. For you to be able to have the capacity to do something like that. Maybe not that scale, obviously, but I just mean like it's those little synchronizations and stuff.
Everybody working together.
Exactly.
That's what it takes to make it for everybody, And we're kind of been going down that road. We got a couple restaurants that we cut for every week now, and
love that.
And it seems to grow every month. So
that's awesome because
that's and we're very thankful
because that is where unfortunately
because they could go somewhere else and get cheaper products.
Yeah, I love that.
But they are in the business too, that they want to support local.
Yeah.
They know they're supporting our kids.
Absolutely.
through sports or whatnot. If they come, they spend maybe 50 cents more coming to Oliver's. So that's been nice to have
I love
support.
that. I love that for you guys. And that's what I would hope continues to expand. And that's exciting because the restaurants that they're just a good way to keep things going while you're building even your regular household customer base. Like we worked with Merchant House and we worked with quite a few restaurants through the years with our products. And so like that's now when they get bigger, like, so for us, like they got so big, like when Murphy's Craft Bar over in Sydney, when they first opened, they started using our bacon and stuff. And my gosh, they bought us out of bacon just almost immediately. We had tons we might have had literally a ton of bacon stored up in our freezer, one of our freezers, and they just burned through it. I'm just like, man, this was awesome until our actual customers are asking for bacon, and I just sold it all, 50-cent discount, or $1 discount over what they would have paid. And but it, that's the part of being a local food provider. Like that's the stuff that the big guys have figured it out, but they don't provide the product that
Yeah.
that I want
that's-
to provide. So,
Yep.
Yep.
But-
well, I am so thankful you guys came, and don't be surprised if I ask you guys back later on, like mid project for
Yeah.
Hub City Market. Cha-ching!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
Hopefully.
we'll be hearing all sorts of
Hopefully.
great things about that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you guys ever need anything from us, of course, never hesitate to ask. And if
Yeah.
anytime you guys want to get on here
Anybody.
and get something put out there, then you're more than welcome to use this space. So
Yeah.
No,
I
thank you
appreciate
so,
it.
yeah, thank you so
thank
much.
you.
so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so good to talk to you
Yes.
guys.